everyone, welcome back to another episode of Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips, your favorite podcast channel to build effective communication skills and bridge the gap between confusion and clarity. I'm your host Sarika Singh and I'm so excited to talk to you today. Let's get talking. Hey everyone, before I start this episode today, I wanted to ask a small little question. Suppose you've asked somebody a question and that person comes and tells you, I don't know. What is your reaction? What do you think about him? Don't you start thinking, he's not good, he's not intelligent. But tell me something, can everyone know everything? Imagine you've prepared really thoroughly for your exam, give it your best shot, revised 1,000,000 times, and yet in that question paper, there was one question which rocked your boat. That question came out of syllabus. And that question had an answer for which you had to say, I don't know. Does that mean your preparation wasn't enough? Does it also mean that you're not intelligent? Is that one little answer, one I don't know, enough to tag you unintelligent, not worth it? It is a bias. It is a bias that we have secretly, unintentionally inherited. Whoever says, I don't know, becomes incompetent because of this bias. And Paranjyoti from Whitefield, Bengaluru, wrote to me because of this bias. I quote whatever he wrote to me. Hey Sarika, I prepared my presentation all night. Practiced it 12 times. I was ready to go. But suddenly, there was one thing which threw me off course. It was an awkward question that someone asked from the audience. The one I couldn't answer. The one for which I had to say, I don't know. My entire preparation, my entire presentation went down the drain. We didn't only lose the client, but now I have to face the music from my office internally. Sarika, should I have not said, I don't know? If not, then what should I have done? We all have fuzzy moments where our brain shuts down, don't we? We all have those moments when even answering our name becomes a challenge. There's a lump which comes onto our throat. Dheeraj writes to me from Chandigarh, Hi Sarika, I went for a second round of an interview last week. I've usually been the smart guy, all A grades. I prepared well for the interview. It was the career I wanted. But no matter how many hours you spend preparing for the job interview, at your most favorite company, you run the risk of being confronted with a question that you genuinely don't know the answer of. Luck wasn't with me that day. I was posed a question I was clueless about. I had to say, I don't know. They didn't like it. Most companies don't like it. They don't like to hire someone who says, I don't know. What could I have done differently, Sarika? So Paranjyoti and Dheeraj, thank you for writing to me. And all of you tuned in here today, I will show you what to do when you think the only option to say is, I don't know. What to do when you don't know the answer. Obviously, you can't know everything. I'll show you smart ways of saying, I don't know, without sounding unintelligent. Smart ways to handle that I don't know, because to a solution-oriented person, I don't know is not a lost opportunity. In fact, it is the most irresistible invitation for ideas. And I'll show you that right here, right now. Let's get started. Just imagine one regular day in office, you're in the middle of an important meeting and somebody turns to you for a quick question. In your heart of hearts, you're saying, hello, why me? Why does he always pick me? Can't he see there are 10 other people in the room? You tell yourself, I should have pretended looking down on my paper. I shouldn't have been looking at him. But now he's asked you the question. Basically, this in itself, this sudden spontaneous finger-pointed call during a meeting is enough to shoot up your heart rate and give you a cardio workout. I mean, imagine all eyes are on you and all those eyes need an answer. You're shaking, trembling, quivering all at once. What you did not realize in the process was that your tension meter was just about to go a few notches up. Why? Because suddenly you realized you have no idea what the answer is. Oh my God. Now they'll think I'm a incompetent, unprofessional, not knowledgeable, not fit to be in this room. Basically, useless. Suddenly there's a lump in your throat, your voice has taken an unannounced power nap, a serious one. Now all this happened all at once. But within the first 1 or 2 seconds of you being asked the question, the minute the question was asked, you blurted out, I was thinking, some inaudible, vague, dumb response. Some murmuring, which was basically a stress response. At the end of the meeting, you notice people are looking at you before they leave the room. You never felt so ashamed, stupid, and underconfident. What could you have done? How could you have handled it smartly? To answer this, I want you to think about your work or everyday life. When on a normal day somebody asks you a question, how do you usually respond? Do you take a minute to think about your answer before you launch an explanation? Or do you just shoot your response right away? If you shoot your response right away, hold on. There's a better way to handle this. I say this to everyone I coach. There is absolutely nothing wrong with a pause. A small, tiny little pause. If someone asks you a question, however small or big, in personal life, in professional life, acknowledge that the question was asked. And then acknowledge that you're thinking about it. Something as simple as, can you please give me a moment? I'll gather my thoughts and I can approach this to the best of my ability. Take a pause. This will give you some time to work through your first thoughts. And this will also give you some time to approach the question. And the other person will feel that, okay, he's thinking about it. He's going to give me a good answer. So it's a win-win for all. This is a very popular technique that allows someone to gather their thoughts and deliver a strong answer. You'll be amazed at how those 30-60 second pauses contribute to a much more well thought out and thorough response. The small break can give you the time you need to think about that appropriate response. But you need to keep in mind that the 30 seconds that you take to compose yourself will feel longer to you. The interviewer is not going to notice this. So don't feel self-conscious. Just remember, your heart might start racing involuntarily. So hello, don't go red in the face. Don't appear nervous. It's one of the most dreaded and very common moments in a job interview. The interviewer asks some difficult interview questions and your mind goes blank. We've all been there. The only thought going on in your head is that I'm going to lose this job. I don't know the answer. Now this guy is going to think I'm a fool. I'm useless. I know nothing. Now what will I do? What am I going to tell at home? If I don't get this job, I'm doomed. How will I pay my scooty installment? Everyone will make fun of me. Because again, I didn't get the job. All my friends have jobs. Like this, countless thoughts, countless negative thoughts start running marathons in your head. So you know what you're doing? Instead of thinking what to answer and how best to answer that question, you are worried about the repercussions of not answering the question correctly. And saying anything other than I don't know, you're worried about something which may actually not happen. In such a situation, there is one and only one rule that you need to live by. I live by it. Remember, no one knows everything, but everyone knows something. I repeat, no one knows everything, but everyone knows something. I'll explain this in a bit, but many will tell you to confess that you don't know is the right answer. It's absolutely okay to admit, be honest, be transparent, say, I don't know. But believe you me, the statement has its own risks. It might just reduce the chances of your job by almost 60%. So in my personal opinion, I would say if there's a slightest possibility of staying away from the 3 words, I don't know, don't say them. When you go for an interview, the person who's interviewing you has hopes from you. He has certain hopes from the candidate he's called for an interview. After all, he's shortlisted you. So you must be having some skills which he thinks you have, and that's why he's called you. So I feel it is your responsibility to keep the expectations of your examiner, live up to his expectations, at least closer to that. He has asked you a question, that means he's expecting an answer from you. Even if you don't know the answer, you can always try to show that you are trying your best to answer the question. The examiner knows that there will be many situations in a job when you don't know the solution of a problem. He's actually discounted you. He's just trying to see how you try to answer the question. Remember a while ago I said, no one knows everything, but everyone knows something. You should always try to solve by your something. Do the same here. Try to answer the question that is asked by your examiner by building a communication with him, by building a conversation with him about something which is closely related to this, but which is something that you know. You don't need to show that you know it all. Having said that, the only thing you need to be 200% sure of is that you tell only those things which you know are 100% correct. Because the person who was interviewing you is only trying to see how much you are trying to answer, but try an honest answer. Don't ramble at the answer. Imagine you sitting with a friend. You're having a normal conversation. And along with your talk, very typically, you're on your phone also, you're scrolling something, replying to some, message on your phone, and you're talking to your friend. Now, this friend asks you a question. And because you were not paying so much attention, or for whatever reason, you've not understood his question. So in this kind of a case, what do you typically do? I'm asking you, what do you do? Don't you ask your friend to repeat the question? Don't you say, come again, what did you say? Kya bola? I mean, there's nothing wrong about asking him to repeat what he said. Then why do you think it's going to be any different just because you're giving a presentation or an interview? Or just because your boss has asked you? Because all these are just a chat. An interview is just a chat, just a bit formal chat. If the chat is formal, your come again or repeat what you're saying can also be a bit formal. Instead of saying, come again, you can say, can you confirm if I understood the question correctly? And then you repeat the question however you heard it. You can also say, forgive me, I'm not sure if I heard you correctly. Or, I'm sorry, but can you say the second part of the question again? I've tried this out. And when you ask somebody the second part of the question, chances are they also tell you the first part of the question. So when you ask somebody to repeat a question, you're not only making sure that you understood him well, but you're also buying yourself time to think about the best answer to that question. There's nothing wrong in asking the examiner to repeat the question. Just rephrase it to him. At least that way you'll know the question better and there's no misunderstanding. One thing that I've learned in all my 3 decades in the corporate world is that you always remember that the person who's interviewing you, he has more skills, he has more experience than you have. And you must use this to your benefit. Just give him the respect he deserves. How do you do that? Suppose he's asked you a question and you really want to say, I don't know. Instead of saying that I don't know, allow the examiner to teach you something. He's obviously senior to you. He knows more. So with whatever information you already know about it, ask him to help you understand it. It's perfectly fine. Ask him to, something like, I'm trying to answer this, but I've studied this a long time ago. I may miss out on something. And you can give a shy little smile. Sir, can you please help me if I make a mistake? He will be happy to help you. Believe you me. You've already started a meaningful conversation with the interviewer and you've made it clear to him that you respect him. He will feel good. You've also made it clear to him that you know that he knows far more than you do. And believe you me, this will be a unique answer and it's going to work. The examiner will not only help you but also help you understand the answer. He is not going to hold it against you. So, we discussed 3 key strategies today. 3 ways of saying that I don't know. The first one, pause, think, and then try to answer. No one's gonna eat you up. The second, no one knows everything and everyone knows something. The third, rephrase the question, maybe even ask the examiner to repeat the question and ask for his help in answering the question. With these 3 strategies, you'll definitely not need to say the dreaded, I don't know. I hope this answers your question, Paranjyoti and Dheeraj, and all of you who've asked me questions about what to do when you don't know the answer to a question. Before I sign out for today, there's a little something that I would want to mention, and this is something that you must never do. There are some schools of thought which think it's a good idea, but I don't belong to that tribe. Never ever redirect the question to an area that you are familiar with. Answer to the point. Because if the examiner has asked you a question, if he's asked you on a particular topic, you must reply specifically to the topic. He's not a fool. He knows when you don't know. He's only trying to see what you do when you don't know. If the answer is outside your expertise, you can also defer it to someone who's more knowledgeable in that area, and you can say something like, I don't have that information right now, but I can certainly find out from someone who does. Can I have some time to check with him and return to you about this? Or you can say, I'm not sure about it, but I can definitely circle back to you on this. Please allow me some time. This shows the person who asked you a question that, okay, he doesn't know the answer, but he's honest enough to admit that and he wants to learn. He's enthusiastic to learn. Before signing out, I'll share a personal experience from Cheryl, whom I coached for interview confidence. With her permission, I'm reading out her email about her recent interview a month ago. I hope it brings you some learning, some learn experience. Hey Sarika, I applied for a position a little beyond my skills, but who doesn't like to aim high? I wanted to give it a shot. During the interview, I was asked questions which I could answer well, but as expected, I was asked questions I did not know anything about. At the end of the interview, I asked for the feedback like you taught me, regardless of the outcome. They told me right there on spot that a lot of candidates try to avoid answering directly when they don't have an answer. They go around, beat about the bush, hoping to avoid the embarrassment of saying, I don't know. They thanked me for being direct, honest. You're so right. They can see you if you're dodging questions. So big congratulations to you, Cheryl. That's all I got for you guys today. Remember, you can revisit this podcast, refresh the tips in your head and stay away comfortably, smoothly and professionally from that dreaded I don't know. But I don't know if you've loved this podcast. So If you have, share the love, spread the good work, and I definitely love your rating. If you love the tips I shared, I do share a whole lot of tips and strategies, very practical, very handy, on my Insta handle, which is #communicate101. I'd love it if you follow it. Whatever you liked, pop it onto your Instagram stories and tag me at #communicate101. Imagine there's someone out there who's never heard of that tip and your story might be just the way they discover it. Thank you for listening to this episode of Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips with Sarika Singh. If you want to be notified of upcoming episodes, be sure to hit the subscribe button and follow the podcast. I'll be back to share more stories, more life experiences, and more communication tips every Friday. If you want to reach me or connect with me, just put your comments in the comment box below or mail me at info@sarikasingh.in. I know you're going to rate and review this podcast, so a big thank you in advance. Stay tuned and think about what we talked today.